might be wondering if the band planned to dress alike this morning. Notice we all have blue on with the exception of... He didn't get the memo. Huh? He still matches. Oh, yeah. Of course he does. But, you know, it's interesting. You tell we all have one divine mother. She dressed us alike. And it's the energy, you know, light has every aspect of color has a vibration. And this particular color, blue, there's a, you know, humanity has deep intuition, true blue. Blue has the vibration of this color, the color Johnny and I are wearing. It is the color of devotion and stick-to-itiveness. You know, devotion is energy put behind.
Wait, look.
What?
He just took off his shirt.
Oh, Superman! Yay.
Look behind you. Look behind you.
Well, I know, the blue guy, right?
No.
It's, oh, yeah. Okay, so we're being called. This is a calling for us to stay devoted, meaning putting our energy behind our highest and loftiest thoughts. Because thoughts without energy are just ideas. But thoughts put with energy behind it, the passion, becomes a reality. And we're being called to really look at what our reality is and the thoughts that we're generating on a conscious level, on a continuous level, through an event that happened last week, which is the Wesak full moon. Now, many people now in the West know what the Wesak full moon is. It used to be just celebrated by Buddhists. Just like, and this is really interesting the way nature progresses, just like in around the spring equinox, that full moon is called the moon of Passover, celebration of Passover, where we begin to alchemize the lower vibrational things and bring them up, resurrect ourselves back into divine consciousness. Then we get to April, and the full moon is then the full moon after the Passover full moon is the Wesak full moon. And just like the Christ consciousness begins to be awakened, and all of nature gets her new orders, right? Wake up, this year is different, wake up. And and then we come to the Wesak full moon, and that's where the enlightenment process, the Buddha nature, is being called forward. And again, it's not something, it doesn't mean much if we think of it as just history, something that happened to one person. But if we look at that person's life, we can see that blueprint, that beautiful blueprint that he left for all of humanity. And so many of you know, the basic story of the Buddha. But did you know he was born in a garden? And when he was born, he just started talking right away and moving. He had had so many incarnations as an enlightened being, as just a high soul, that he didn't even have to go through the learning process. He just started talking. And so, of course, word got out that this being was born, and an ancient sage from the hills came in that was very well known. And he came in, and the father presented the sage wanting the child to bow, and instead the sage took them and they just held each other. And it was really a sign that this was one that was going to do amazing good. But it was predicted that Buddha, if he saw this young one, he wasn't Buddha, he was named Siddhartha, and if Siddhartha saw pain or disease or ran into a hermit, it would reawaken those latent tendencies, and he would begin then his quest and come to his full spiritual potential, and then his destiny in service to humanity. So his father, who was a great king, didn't want that to happen. So he tripled the protection around the palace and completely purified it, got rid of all the sick people, all the crippled. Anytime no corpses were allowed around, little young Siddhartha was not allowed to be around anything that might trigger his past memories and why he was there. Isn't that interesting? But no matter, now his father was a powerful king, and no matter what the father tried to do, mission and purpose always comes first, and nature and the divine always has a way of triggering a person's ancient memories. And I'm bringing this up because look in your life right now. Are there things especially that would resemble disease, illness, death, transition, pain? If there's that in your life, then you're the young Buddha that's there to awaken you to your mission in this lifetime. You know, it wasn't, the wise men didn't say it's going to be butterflies and fairies and blessings. You know, it's not Cinderella with Fauna, Flora, and Merryweather. He wasn't going to get 3 wishes from the 3 fairy godmothers. It was pain and disease to wake him up. So, of course, you know the story. His heart's longing, you know, he started looking around past what where the father tried to protect him, and he began to see these things. And immediately started longing, started waking up. The memories of why he came started coming to the fore. So his father said, okay, I've got one other thing I can do. I can distract him. I've got an ace in my pocket. He found the most beautiful woman, the purest woman in the land, and he brought her forward. And after some process where there was some purification, they got married. And even though, now there it is again, when we're young, we hit that phase where the sexual energy just takes over, right? Instincts take over. It happens to everyone. They come to the fore. And depending on how we use that energy, it depends on how much that energy gets stuck either in our second chakra or continues to move up through our spine for enlightenment, creativity, and for our service. So for Buddha, it didn't last long. He loved his wife, and together they had a child, but he named his child, I forget the name of his child, but it meant something like distraction. No, literally. He named his child Distraction because he saw for what it was. He knew that if his love for his wife and his child could become so blinding that it could keep him from his spiritual potential. So he didn't let it. One night, he just went in when his wife and child were sleeping, as much as it ripped his heart out. He kissed them goodbye and left. And we know the story. You know, he was going through, and he tried asceticism, which he said doesn't work. And he tried studying with some teachers, but he very quickly outgrew their wisdom, and on and on. But finally, when he came to the path of balance, it happened, and it happened one night. He had always had a high degree of consciousness, but he was here in this realm to break through that ceiling that had been keeping him in the realm of a master. He wanted to be, it was his job to become a Lord, a Buddha, the high enlightened one. And finally, after years of struggling, he attained that consciousness. And once he had that power, that his heart was satisfied. There was no aspect of spirit now that was behind a veil. It was all available to him, and that's what he wanted. And he didn't give up until he had everything his heart desires. And I'm bringing this story up because, for 2 reasons, that's what's happening now. All of the pain, we're being asked to, day after day, lift ourselves up. First, we have to know, what is it that is our heart's passion? Have you thought about that? Not your desires. What is it in your heart that has been crying for fulfillment? You may have the greatest love you've ever known standing next to you. You may have the children you've always wanted. You may have the career and the Mercedes, or not. You may have joy. You may know you're meditative. You may have found your guru, your teacher. But there's still a longing, isn't there, in every one of us that has not achieved that Buddhahood. And that longing is calling us forward. And the Wesak moon that lasts, it starts triggering us 5 days. So it'll be 5 days before last Thursday and 5 days after, so we're still in it. It's triggering us saying, follow your passion. Don't let the distractions of fame, which he had, and fortune, and undisciplined sexual energy, and the discouragement of your trials. And by the way, we put out a little video this week, and if you want to be inspired by a little living creature, look at the Mystic Messages, because we filmed it. Ron did a beautiful job editing it. We filmed it in a little room where a twig, some of you have known, a twig actually has grown through the wall, in the windowsill, the thickest part. It's the most amazing thing. Now, if that's not the root of the Buddha, don't stop. Don't let anything stop you. And I also have to say, I have to share this with you. When it happened to me this morning, I knew I had to share it. Because, we just went through the first of 3 eclipses. And eclipses is where either is one planet or star goes in between 2 others and disrupts the energy, right? Whether it's a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, there's always a movement, and the energy that's between them all of a sudden gets completely disrupted, right? So that brings to us some uncertain energy here. A friend of mine, Stephanie Azari, calls it a sideways elevator. She calls it a wormhole. She said it's like getting in an elevator and pushing and expecting to go up and down, and what happens is it starts going sideways. To a place, look at your life. Has your life started going to a place where you have things start happening that you're not expecting? And you open, and when the doors open and you find that you've gone sideways, you can do one of 2 things. You can do what we did, yay! Or you can go, uh-oh, I don't recognize this, it's not familiar, what's going on here, it's not the way it's supposed to be, and resist it. I don't recommend the latter. Don't resist, it doesn't help. So I was kind of contemplating how the things that have been coming into Tom's and my life every day, what's coming into the soul, the way things are happening, how this really is a sideways elevator, and how, so far, it's been a really fun, unexpected trip. And as we've been telling you, we're about to move, and so we're just spending our last couple of days right on the ocean, this little condo. We're in a big complex. We're right over the ocean, and I've been taking some time to just stop and walk to the window and look at the ocean and just love her and hear her sounds, and just because we won't be living on the ocean after Tuesday. So I'm looking out, and I'm thinking about Buddha and his teachings and my own inner passion and where we're going, and wanting to say yes to anything that's unexpected. And I look out, and here's this young man, had to be in his 20s, walking toward the stairs to get down to the ocean, carrying a plant. And I look and I think, he doesn't have any clothes on. He doesn't look like he has any clothes on. And you know how that is a little bit, especially when you get older. I thought maybe he has a beige bathing suit on. And he starts to go down the stairs, so he turns my way a little bit, and I went, that's not a bathing suit. Well, it's his birthday suit, but that's not a bathing suit. And he goes down out of sight. And I'm looking, and I'm listening, and I'm kind of stunned, because this is a big complex, and a lot of old people who live there, and I'm thinking, all of a sudden I hear dogs, because we're right above Dog Beach, right? And I thought, oh, poor guy. I hope he's all right. And we don't usually hear that. And I thought, okay, that's all right. So I started saying, okay, what's the meaning in this? I was talking to the teacher. So what am I supposed to learn? Is this the naked truth? He's carrying a plant. Is it a new seed where and I'm thinking about it, and all of a sudden, has it ever happened to you? All of a sudden, it struck me as hysterical. It hit a joy spot, and it's usually don't laugh by yourself, right? Because there's nobody to share it with. There's no contagion. Well, my insides started laughing. My cells started laughing, and I thought, this is hysterical. And so but the end of the story is I was leaving to come here. I have to walk quite a ways to get to my car, and as I'm going, I see a cop car. I thought, oh God, I thought the dogs were a problem. And I thought, oh, I have to find out. So I walk over. I said, everything all right, guys? And they said, yeah, there's just a naked guy walking around the complex. And we have to deal with it. And they said something about taking him to a hospital. I know. And then it made me sad. I thought, well, that's what happens sometimes when you stand out, when you dare to be different, right? When you dare to be different and you dare to speak your truth. No, I don't know. The guy, he actually had a very nice vibe. He's holding this plant with so much love. That was the thing I felt first. I looked down, just the devotion with which he was holding this plant. And he was such in joy, like a child. And it did occur to me that, and I thought, well, there it is. Sometimes people will call the authorities when we, that happened to a lot of us in past lifetimes. So when that sideways elevator comes and it opens up, we go, wait a minute. Actually, I've been here before. I stepped out of the pack. It wasn't safe. Uh-oh. And so, and I thought, okay, here we are. Let's all agree to get out of the elevator and dance, right? Be naked in front of the community, so to speak. Just show, so to speak. I think it'd be better just to wear blue, we'll wear true blue. Uh-oh. Yeah. Fierce. Okay, we'll leave it at that. What? Yeah, we've got to, well, Tom will take you because I don't want to leave you with an image, mental image. What did they talk about? Naked men. We'll move that too. But you know what? I'll close with a saying of the Buddha, which is really apropos. He said, and I just love this. I love this. I've been contemplating this one for years. It is not necessary to seek enlightenment. Right? So we're off the hook. Not necessary to seek enlightenment. He said, merely cease cherishing your beliefs.
So you all know you're the Buddha nature as well. And you've come a long way, like the story of the Buddha. And you have certain surroundings and people in your life, desires going on, and beliefs. But what you don't know is the most important. And that is that you are not just this far from enlightenment, or this far, which is very close, right? Like really, really, really close. But you're there. You're there. And God bless each one of you for being here this morning, taking an hour for your Sunday, so that, I don't know, you can realize that oneness a little more. You can feel a little better that the problems you have and the depressions and the inadequacies and I'm not enough stuff is a lie. This is why Buddha left the palace. Because this is a lie. People are living in all this luxury. Most of the world isn't. And the people who are living in the luxury, they're the furthest thing from being happy. And some of the most, downtrodden parts of our world, the people are happy, but they don't have anything, right? So we've come here to wake up this morning because they asked the Buddha if he's a man or a god, and he said, I'm awake. And many of you have heard that story. I am awake. And then he also is said to have quoted before he sat down under the Bodhi tree to meditate until he had obtained that self-realization. He said this, beneath the banyan bough. On sacred seed I vow, until life's mysteries I solve, until I obtain the priceless lore, though bones and fleeting flesh dissolve, I'll leave this posture nevermore. That's that little twig thing that you can see as you go out in the other room there that Trish named in her video, Freedom.
A little girl, Ella,
Oh.
4th grader, named her Freedom.
Oh,
Ella.
even better.
Yeah,
She named her. She
Yeah.
named that.
yeah. She was in my class, and I said, why don't you go back there, and if you
4th
come with a
grader?
name.
I like that.
She named her
even-
Freedom.
I like that even better.
Yeah, Freedom.
I like that even better. Yeah, and that, who knows? If not now, when? If not you, who? Because I'll tell you what I see from my seat. And again, it seems like you hear me talk a lot about this thing that we're doing over there, called the immersion in love. I don't have any words. I cannot describe how a group of people can come together, barely know each other's names. Once we even had one little moment where we heard the name, but then we went right to the soul quality. That person said, I am this, even though that's the thing that I need the most in life, and it's the furthest thing that I believe in, that, you know, I am strong, I am self-control, I am light, and I am healthy. You know, it's not easy to say that stuff when you're caught up in the lie, right? But it just is so powerful to see in a very short time, a very, very short time. People get raw when love comes into the picture. When people hold the space that you're not this human, you're not this limitation, but you are divine through and through, that you are a daughter of God, you are a son of God, you are pure spirit, you are a soul is absolutely perfect right now in bliss consciousness with the unmanifested spirit. Right now. Right now. And the change that happens is inconceivable. And you guys and me and everyone on this planet is not just this close to truth or seemingly this far away. We are one. We are one. We are one. Spirit are us. Right? It's not like this little wave of your life is like struggling because it's just a little wave and everything seems so big and unknown. No, the ocean has become the little manifested wave of your life. And what is that ocean? It's the ocean of pure consciousness. While we're in creation, there's a consciousness holding us. It's like you could say we all live in the cosmic mind of spirit. He's dreaming, she's dreaming, spirit is dreaming you and me. We're in a dream. We're in a dream of being physical beings, coming and going, suffering, being scared, you know, wishing that things would be different, having our hearts ripped out because it's broken and things like that. We're dreaming in a dream. But we're still in the dream of spirit. So we don't have to take that so seriously. And the one element that I think that most of us are really, really starved for is fun. Is fun. We are having so much fun, because to me that's the one thing that can get us in the ballpark of taking a moment to take a break from our seriousness so that we can look in and see that we are this beautiful reflection of spirit and not this limited being, this frail limited being. We even had one of the waitresses or people from Chen's who've seen us now for 3 years come and go. The people with the yoga mats and stuff like that, you know. And she heard us one day. She heard us one day and talked to one of our people, it was Marcia or Tony, and they were a little like, oh God, are we disturbing them, right? And she just said, they are having so much fun. We had other little girl. Was it a little girl that came to the window of the door? Because we're doing all this, I don't know, you could call it inner child stuff, right? Pure innocent stuff to get in the ballpark, like I mentioned. And the little girl just stood there for a long, long time. I know, feeling the waves of this pure, loving energy coming at her. It's irresistible, folks, and it's inevitable. And there's no escape from it. Rumi said this, he said, "The soul of my soul is you, beloved. I cannot escape. The soul of my soul is you, my beloved. I cannot escape." And he said, who would want to? Who would want to escape from love itself, right? From joy itself, happiness itself, connection itself, peace itself. So, Tricia mentioned so many things in her talking. We don't talk about what we're going to talk about. I was over here in immersion and she was busy looking at naked men. Shows you what happens when I leave home. Now, when she's left, there never was a naked woman walking down there.
Bet you told us about it.
Right? I mean, I look for it. No, just kidding. No, that was my little Tommy human side that came out. But that's the part. It's all the same, right? That's where we can't be so I don't like, oh, that's not, I shouldn't say that. That's not a good part of me, this and that. I need to overcome that. No, but we don't talk. And so she said, I don't know if the immersion people, because they're hearing all this truth and experiencing it in a way that it can be experienced, not just talked about, kind of resonated a lot with what Trish was saying. And it was like, oh, that's what we're working on over there. Oh, that's what we just talked about. Oh, yeah, that's what we just meditated on. And it's funny because I saw that a lot in the ashram, and I still see it in life. That which you need from spirit, good, bad, or ugly, you're going to get. And it's going to come knocking at your door over and over and over and over again until you get it. And when you get it, you feel liberated because there's only one teaching and there's only one lesson. And that is that anything that could possibly happen to you and me is teaching us one thing. Love is within, it's not without. And today is our day of silence. And there's maybe 4 or 5 of you immersionists that never had a day of silence before. And I love it when the questions come up when we say we're going to have a day of silence, right? It's like, oh, God, I don't know what my mind's going to do, you know? What do I think about it? Oh, no. The idea is not to be thinking so much as to be just gently resting in love in your heart, or just enjoying the fact that you don't have to comment on stuff, that you get time out to be alone. To be alone, not lonely. Big difference. Highly recommend you don't use the word lonely when you are feeling so-called lonely. Because what that means is that you're not yet ready to awake to the point where you can be with yourself for an extended maybe 5 minutes without something going on. Because everything is a child of distraction. Everything is a child of distraction if you're not careful. And so what we have discovered over there, though, is that alone is an opportunity to be yourself. It's an opportunity to go a little deeper Because the Buddha was walking along and he saw some some eggs, some chicken eggs, and then the mothers were walking around frantically scratching and everything, but they weren't resting on their eggs. And he said, you have to sit and warm up your insides. You can't be always just scratching around doing stuff. Because we are the insight. We are the Buddha. All we got to do is, beneath the banyan bough on sacred seed, I vow, until life's mysteries I solve, until I obtain the priceless lore. Though bones and fleeting flesh dissolve. Some of you are worried about your itching in your meditation. For God's sake, don't make it a big deal. He sat there while his bones were dissolving. I vow never to leave this posture evermore. Right? It's just a little commitment for a 5-minute meditation, you guys. That's all. And you choose where and when and how. 5 minutes to sit on the egg that you are Buddha nature that is absolutely adored by this universe right now. But here's how Hafiz puts it. He said, don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Let your loneliness ferment you, season you like few ingredients can. Because just like I said earlier, when you still your mind and you say to the divine, I love you. You know, Trish mentioned about the purpose and passion thing. And if you have that, doesn't matter who your parents are. It doesn't matter what's happening. Doesn't matter what your karma is. Your purpose and your passion is going to come forward. You know what we learned on our first day of immersion? I said, hey guys, let's have a tip, because our very first step was choice point. And I said, if you're not really clear about your choice, and now we're talking about a spiritual choice because the rest of the choices have no meaning. Just like the Buddha's son was named distraction. And I'm not making it wrong or anything. But you want to be very, very crystal clear to the universe about your spiritual choices. So I gave him a tip. I said, here's 3 for starters. I said, what? Let's pray this together. Oh, Spirit, let's do it. Oh, Spirit, I just want to feel your pure unmanifested bliss. Oh, Christ and Krishna, I just want to feel your ever new joy in every atom of creation. And oh, Divine Mother, I just want to feel your unconditional love in every heart. That's where we started. But unless you're not going to let yourself be alone, there's no way that the little chick of your divine nature is going to hatch. So let's finish Hafiz's poem. Don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Go ahead, feel. It's okay to feel alone and lonely. It's okay, but it's your greatest asset. It's your greatest asset. All life's going to teach you that. It's not out here. It's in here. And we need to sit on that. We need to sit. Let your loneliness ferment you, season you as few ingredients can. Now this is the line I love the most. Something's missing in my heart today. Can we admit that inwardly? Just go ahead and admit it. Something is missing in my heart today. Has made my eyes so soft and my voice so tender and my need for God and my longing for love so absolutely clear. The final thing that I'm going to say, because Again, Trish triggered all of it. As I mentioned, we don't talk about this because we love the surprise. We are so in tune, so at one with each other, that there's nothing she could ever say that doesn't inspire my soul. And I haven't heard you say in these soul talks about that sexual energy. And is it not true that we have talked openly in this immersion? Second chakra, the creative center. That if you think being lonely or wanting to be alone or whatever, and I said it's just a great asset, here I'm going to give you now the greatest asset that you have, being entrapped in this human body. And it's that sexual energy. And at our second chakra, what we practice here in the immersion in love is that's where we learn to surrender to Divine Mother. That's where we learn to surrender to her all-encompassing, omnipresent, we call eternal now loving presence arms. And we give her our heart. And we give her our energy. We make love in our surrender. Can you imagine that? In consciousness, we make love in our surrender to Divine Mother. We give her our heart, and we give her our energy. And then what happens is, just like we know all about human love, don't you? You give every drop of your energy. And sometimes it's not even from a place of a deep thing in your heart. It's just what you do. So don't say you can't give, you don't give it all. I'm just saying here's an asset. That if you could consider the thought that you come from God, in God you live, in sacred God, joy, you will melt again. That if you give back what is already God, you will be filled up with everything God is and has. It's that simple. And then we just enjoy the afterglow. When you give your heart to God in meditation, when you give your energy to God, you have an afterglow, an aftermath, where you're just being held in divine loving arms and you don't ever want to leave. And that's the real deal, folks. That's the real deal, because she carries you, she walks you, she breathes you, she gives you the thoughts, the things, she gives you your talents. You know, you get one cold or you lose your voice or something like that, and you realize how incredibly helpless we are as human beings. Ba, ba, ba. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. Robert, if only I could allow you, I know it's your day of silence, but Robert, my bald-headed buddy over there, he does a funky chicken like you have never witnessed. We'll have it happen here at the Soul one day, honestly. But here's the asset. That little I love the song, man. I really do. I love it. That energy to even have an intention or a heartfelt desire to offer energy and you, whatever, to the divine is so huge, because it sets in motion a whole nother way for your lower energies to move, and not move sideways or downwards, but up the spine, and that's the whole point. And just consider this next time you do have the urge. Hello, we're human too. And some people will say, well, why did God give me that if I'm not to use it? And then what I say is, but you are an immortal soul. Why don't you use it? You are a formless, infinite being of bliss. Why don't you use it? Oh, but God gave me this form. Why wouldn't I use it? You know, the eternal argument, right? There it is, right there. But the next time, you know, you have this desire, and I'm not making anybody wrong, to have physical union. If you just had an intention that, oh, Divine Mother, I don't want to forget you ever, but maybe in my thought, in my heart, I can begin to think that I'll use that desire to want you more. I mean, honestly, what do you think I did for 25 years in the ashram? You think I went in there because I had that life force mastered? Are you kidding me? I kept giving her the energy, 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 giving her the energy. Now when that stuff comes up, and it will, at least now it has a little streamlet to follow to her and into my higher chakras. You see that, why that is an asset, you guys? And then I came up with this thing. Because transmutation is the word yogis love. They love that word of rechanneling, redirecting the energy. Transmutate. Don't dissipate. Oh, I see you love it so much, don't you? Transmutate, redirect. Don't dissipate. My friends, that's you and me, and why do you think the world is in energy crises? Why? Because we are wasting our energy if we're not in moderation, if we're not having a bigger goal, if we're not here to have that enlightenment in this incarnation. That is the whole seed problem that we face as a world right now. All right, so I want to end on a happy note. And I promise you, if you go to any master who's a real master, they don't mess around this way. Yogananda, when I read that in the early lessons when I was 22, and baby, my hormones were raging. He said, when you're single, find God. Use your time when you're single to find God, to feel that love around you and in you, and you are that love. And then he said this, and be celibate. So we're going to do our little joy vibration song, because it's all good, right? Is it all okay? Are you still going to like me?
How about all is well?
All right, here's our little thing. It goes like this. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good, 'cause I am Om. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good, 'cause I am Om. Again, I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good, 'cause I am Om. I'm feeling so good, I'm joy vibrations, and I'm feeling so good, 'cause I am. Hug somebody.